Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is the Unsecurity Podcast, episode 183. I'm Brad Nye, and with me is Oscar Minks. Hello, Oscar.
Hey, good afternoon, Brad. How's it going today?
It's actually gorgeous here today. It's like 80 with a light breeze and sunny. And,
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, can't beat that. It's like mid 80s here. It's pretty nice too. It's not quite as humid as it has been. I'd say it's a fine summertime day.
I can't complain. It's better than being in Texas.
I was in Tennessee in the Smokies over the weekend, and it was like high 80s and 99% humidity. We got there in the evening. Was in some fishing Saturday, and it was real hot. And said, okay, tomorrow let's get up at like 5:30. We'll be in the woods by daybreak. It'll be wonderful to feel good. And get up at like 5:30, and it was cooler. It was still like, but it was in the 70s, but the humidity was still at 99%, and that's rough, man. It was a real sweaty time out there. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's not a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that weather, I should say. So
yeah, it's something that I never really get used to. Is humidity.
Yeah.
The heat I can get used to, but the humidity I just can't really adjust to that.
Yeah, we were at the Gartner conference. It rained, and you're like, it just rained. How's it more? It's like a sauna.
Yeah.
It off.
Yeah.
That was a miserable day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, humidity is rough.
So today we're going to do a couple of news articles, and then we're going to talk about some free or inexpensive training around information security. And I think this will be good. We get asked it a lot. I actually was doing an assessment earlier today, and one of the direct questions that they asked is, where can I get some material? Where can I send my team so that if we think we have an incident, they feel comfortable knowing what to do? And I was like, well, that's convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I think is misunderstood a lot. And I hear this from different folks, like there's not a lot of good free training resources out there.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of good training resources out there that are free or low cost. There's also some good paid training. Obviously, there's going to be good paid training there. But hopefully today we'll shed some light on, obviously we're not going to hit all those resources,
No.
but we'll hit some good resources and start that conversation up. And hopefully this will help our listeners out as they're looking to continually educate and improve their skill sets.
Yep. Yeah. And like you said, it's definitely needed. So I'll start with the first news story. This was a little bit, I guess it shouldn't be surprising, but man, it was pretty gnarly. So there's a new Callback phishing campaign that is impersonating security firms. CrowdStrike for sure, because they found it because they were used. But basically they call or they send an email and say, hey, call this number, you're compromised. And so when they call it to a malicious actor, they lead the person to the malicious site to download the supposedly reputable software, and then they get they download the what was it? Similar to Conti, one of the remote access tools.
Yeah, I think they don't specify what the RAT or the C2 is, but ultimately, I think they were comparing like to the Bizarre Call campaigns where that led to Conti ransom. So we know that the ultimate payload is going to be a ransom attack eventually, right? And so that stage one's likely, hey, let's trick someone into thinking they're compromised, call me back, and they'll install our malware, which we'll pretend to use to help them remediate their issue that doesn't exist.
Okay. Yeah. It was. It's not anything new, right? It's phishing. We said people are the weakest link. They're using. It says they did look at the email and it looked legitimate. They used the CrowdStrike logo in the email. So yeah, that's just be aware.
Yeah, and it was an email first, right? So they send a phishing email, and the email says, "Hey, you're compromised. This is a security firm, and we know probably multiple security firms have been used here, you need to
Right.
contact us so we can help you remediate. And they're, just taking advantage of that emotional response of someone saying, "Oh crap, I
Yeah.
did a bad thing. Something's wrong here. This is a security firm. I can trust them." And so they reach out to that security firm. I think that probably takeaways for our listeners, like you said, be aware, train yourselves and your folks on how to identify those phishing emails. Another thing too is, um, you know, verifying your security vendors, like in this
Yeah.
case, and making sure that if people, within your organization, hey, there's a process that says even if you get this email and it is legit, maybe our partner really sent that email to you, that still needs to go through our security team for review
Right.
before engaging for any sort of contact, right?
Yeah.
So even if that user's strict, if you have a process in place, they can still send it to the security team and hopefully prevent further damage
Right. Yeah.
during that
You
attack.
train your users not to install anything. Go through your help desk or ticketing or whatever the process is before they
Yep.
download or install a program. So.
Yeah, like you said, this isn't new. Just a new spin on an old trick. So everybody be aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the other news story I'll bring up today, which is going to be really cool for all our system administrators, especially if you're administering a Windows environment. Microsoft is rolling out Autopatch. It's now generally available. It isn't available for every user, with a caveat. It is customers that have Enterprise E3 or Enterprise E5 licenses. Looks like today it doesn't support the Education A3 or the Frontline Workers licenses. I'm not sure what the rollout's going to be for that, but Autopatch is cool. It's essentially a service that you can deploy on your Windows domain to do just like the name says, to create a policy and a process to automatically patch your devices. You can have test rings built in. So you can split it up like in the example they show here. You get your test group, which could be like 1% of your environment, to deploy those patches there for, say, 3 to 7 days, make sure there's no problems. There's no problems there, then it'll go to your secondary test group, let that bake for a week or so. If no problems there, then boom, it'll deploy those patches to the rest of your enterprise. And from my understanding, after you configure or you enroll in the service, configure your policies for that service, it pretty much automates all your patches moving forward. And that's a really cool thing for administrators, a really cool thing for from our perspective too, as security experts. We see a big gap here and challenges for people in deploying those patches. So it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. It doesn't eliminate the need for a patch management solution because it's only doing your Windows updates. So, your third-party software still won't get there. But, man, if you just, it says it's got the Windows 10, Windows 11, Edge, and 365 software. Just getting those, ensuring that they're patched, not relying on, each individual machine doing the Windows download. That's, oh, man. I would have loved that.
It's big. It's going to help administrators a lot. The other cool thing too is if you have a critical patch, so there's an O day and something pops, you can create exceptions for the policy for those critical patches, and it'll automatically apply to that. So here's our standard patch process. Unless it's a critical patch, then those criticals can have an exception, and you immediately deploy to your environment. So a lot of cool stuff there.
Very cool. Yeah, man. That would have saved so much headaches and pain.
Time, pain, all those things.
Oh, man. So obviously there's tons of other stuff going on, but those are the two that caught our eye this week. And so there you go. Now let's talk about the part that people really probably care about. Where can they get some training?
Yeah, how do I learnificate more? We're going to tell you all about it.
So we're going to go down. We have basically 8, 9 resources, something like that we're just going to kind of go through and explain real quick. The first is from Portswigger, and it's on Burp Suite. Burp Suite is a web application testing tool. So it'll help you with cross-site scripting, easy for you to say, request forgery, SQL injection, it's all free, all high quality. I know you guys use that, or the pen test team uses that a lot. Um, I know I've used it in capture the flags and stuff. It's a really cool tool.
Yeah, it's great. And the cool thing too about that training is they do have the Burp Suite training, but they also have the Web Security Academy that's free as well, right?
Oh,
And
you're
so
right. I missed that
yeah,
one.
with Burp Suite, you can learn to use the tool, and Burp Suite's a really effective tool for testing your web applications and the security of your web applications. Um, but the cool thing that Portswigger's done here too is they're teaching you a lot about not only how to use that tool, but what those attacks are that Brad just mentioned. So you'll learn about cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery, SQL injection,
Oh yeah.
request smuggling, all those good things. And so if you are a web developer, um, or you manage web applications, I think this is a really valuable resource for you to go through. It's the perfect price of, I think it's free 50. Hey.
It was funny. I didn't notice the labs. I'm looking at the labs now, and yeah, that's crazy amount of stuff in there.
Yeah, they have nearly 200 labs. Um, and really, it's going to teach you to use that tool, how to understand vulnerabilities that affect applications, and then how to identify those
Yeah.
vulnerabilities in your own applications. And then you're going to be able to learn how to remediate those vulnerabilities as well. So,
Yeah. Hopefully avoid them, and then if you've already got an application, go back and fix it real quick.
yeah, 100%. So we would say, I think that's a
Yeah.
really killer course, and um, get on that, especially if you're in app development or app security. I think that's going
Yeah.
to be valuable for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I
Cool.
should
The
have
next,
links.
and today I will say for all our listeners, we have gave our marketing team a list of all the links we're going to be talking about and all the resources. I know we talked about that last episode and didn't do it, but today we're doing it, right? That's already done. So
Well, they have it, so it's up to them now.
yeah, so we'll make sure that is available. I'm not sure where that'll be available yet, but probably on the FRSecure blog. So if you guys aren't tuned into that and check that out. Yeah, I'll go another tool, and this is kind of trainings, but I grouped these all together because they are all somewhat similar. It's HacktheBox, TryHackMe, and OverTheWire. And these are offensive training tools. So if you want to learn to compromise systems, compromise a host, once you gain access to that host, be able to elevate privileges and so on, these are really good training tools for that. These are a network simulation where you can log in, like with HacktheBox, you can set up your account. You'll get a VPN into a lab network, and when you get that VPN set up, it'll give you access to vulnerable machines, and then you can essentially target those vulnerable machines, try to work through, compromise the host, and gain root access. They are somewhat gamified too, so you'll be looking for specific flags that are similar to like a CTF format, and so on. But these are really good tools, especially if you're new in offensive security or you want to get your feet wet in offensive security, to go try to hack a box.
Yeah.
Some of these too, if you're a complete noob and you're just learning, you can find old legacy boxes, and some of those legacy boxes will have some walkthroughs. And so you could use those walkthroughs to try to teach yourself things as you go along. I prefer, I think what I tell everybody is try to do it on your own. If you get to a point where you get stuck and you absolutely can't get any further, we'll try to talk to a friend. But if you don't have a friend, maybe see if there's some help online where someone could get you over the hump to that next step, and then you continue your journey and go ahead and flush that walkthrough down the toilet until you get stuck again and you can't phone a friend. You can go use that.
I don't know why I didn't think of this when we were talking about that. From a blue team perspective, and I'll make sure I get this over to marketing, cyberdefenders.org. They have a lot of the blue team CTS. So if you're not looking at offensive, you're more on the blue team, the response side. I mean, they have like the actual CTS going back to like 2016 that were like DEF CON OpenSOC type of things. And that's just another good resource for the other side of the fence.
Cool. Yeah, and I added that cyberdefenders.org to our list. So
Sweet.
Yeah. And these are just really good simulation ranges for folks, right? And that's really, I talk to people that are trying to get into offensive or defensive security. And my best advice is always just get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, and get in there and try to learn. It's going to be the best way. I will say these aren't going to make you a pen tester, right, when you finish these things, but these will give you some skills. I think that if you are on that path to become a pen tester or a defender, that there'll be skills that you'll learn are going to be relevant throughout your careers.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have the experience, it's a good way to at least expose yourself to it.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Yeah,
lot
and I
of
will
them,
say,
they're good. They're good.
oh yeah, there's some fantastic stuff too. And a lot of people, if you're studying for OSCP or something like that, when you start that training, you're going to get access to their simulation range, right? And you're going to be doing the same thing on those boxes. And so this is a good precursor for folks that may be interested in going that OSCP path, to upfront say, I'm going to skill and develop before I even start my OSCP. You can go do this for 6 months and you'll gain a lot of knowledge. So you kind of come into that OSCP training a little more prepared, and your chances for success will increase. I will say that too, they're not all completely free. They do have free versions, but they also have subscription versions. The subscription versions though are cheap. I mean, less than $10 a month, and the subscription is going to give you your own private dedicated systems. Where if you're doing the free version, you're going to be in a shared environment where 2 or 3 people could be hacking that box at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference.
All right, cool. So third one, maybe a little bit biased on this one, but the FRSecure CISSP mentor program, completely free. We just finished the 12th year of that. We had like 10,000 people, but if you go to our website, all the videos are out there. All the presentation slides are there. You can go on our YouTube channel and there's, see previous years as well. So if you're kind of curious if things have changed over the years, you'll be able to see that. They're typically around 2-hour sessions, 13 of them. And it's just, it's so rewarding to get those posts on LinkedIn thanking you, or getting the request for endorsement from somebody who was like, I couldn't have done this without you. So totally free.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, really cool. I think that program we started, we had less than 10 people the first year, right, Brad? And now we're over 10,000 people this year. The thing I really would be anxious, and I don't know how we'll ever be able to get an exact figure on this, but how many people we actually got over the hump that were able to get the CISSP. I think it's quite a few, just from my interactions with folks and talking to people who were involved in that mentorship program, then later got their CISSP. They all said that was a really great tool, having their kit on that journey to prepare for that exam.
Yeah, and what kind of stinks is the only way we would know is if they reach out and let us know. So I could say I didn't do it this year, but the 5 years prior that I did it, it's got to be well over 100 that have personally reached out. And so that's great. I got to figure it's got to be at least double that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. At least I would imagine the number is way higher than that. That's awesome. And you guys cover every domain, right? It's going to be in the test. You do education on those domains. And I think you even do like some example, like here's the type of question you may see. Yeah. Here's how to prepare for those questions and so on.
Yeah. Right? So after the first lecture, so starting with class 3, we start each class with a quiz on what we covered the previous session. Mm-hmm. And our approach isn't just like reading off the slides. It's, hey, here's the information you need, on the slide so that when you study and you have it, but here's what you really need to know for the exam, right? It's that you don't have to memorize everything. Here's the tricks that you need to understand this stuff. And and people ask, well, can they pass without the experience? I mean, if you are good at studying and memorization, but it would be, if you don't have that real world experience, it's going to be incredibly difficult. But we try to do the best we can to help people and get them prepared.
Awesome. That's a really, really killer resource. And I bet a lot of our listeners have already tuned in and tried that. But maybe we got new folks who haven't heard of that, and hopefully they'll get involved next year, or just go hit the archives right now.
Yep.
Cool. The next one I'm going to share is something I have not personally used. So I'm not a federal employee, but there is a really cool training environment. It's called Federal Virtual Training Environment, fedvte.usalearning.gov. That's completely free for all federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial government employees. This has a focused security track. Security is your primary focus right now, but there's a wide range of topics that are all completely free. That everything from learning how to script to Windows administration to even there's a lot of certification preparation modules in there that are completely free. Um, it's not limited, like I said, to security training, but there's tons and tons and tons of good free training. So if you are a government employee, you should definitely take advantage of that right away. Go sign up, start looking at that catalog, picking your courses, and you will gain valuable stuff. It's crazy. I mean, there's everything in there for seeing, security cert preps to
Nice.
all the way through like this, CCNA prep and CCENT prep.
Oh wow.
I mean, the spectrum is huge, and pretty much whatever your interest is, your particular domain is, there's a good chance they're going to have free education that's going to be high quality on there for you to access.
That's awesome. And I would assume you have to have like a government email to sign up for that. They're
Yeah,
probably
there is.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
there is
slide in.
verification. You have to prove you're a government employee to be able to get access to that. I'm sure people have tried to get
Yeah,
around that. I don't recommend that. Let's leave this for our government folks.
yeah, yeah. Next one is from MITRE, the attack framework. They have training cyber threat intelligence training using using attack. Uh, Looks like 5 modules, about 4 hours of total um, video, and they've got go through the video. It'll tell you, okay, pause and do this exercise, and they provide those exercises, and so really good. I mean, it's what the adversary. Um, oh, geez, I just went blank. I brain dead.
Yeah, it's TTPs, right?
Yeah,
So
thank you.
yeah, yeah. Matters like our master matrix of TTPs,
Yeah,
tactics, techniques, and procedures that are utilized by adversaries.
yeah,
And yeah, and you can map those TTPs to different APTs, alphabet soup here, baby. But
right.
our advanced persistent threats, and MITRE is really useful as a defender for sure.
Mhm.
Um, we use MITRE. I think MITRE is baked into a lot of good security products now for
Yeah,
defenders, and this is just a way for people to make sense of MITRE and figure out how to use
yeah,
MITRE, right?
yeah. So you're looking at those modules, introducing the training, but understanding the framework, mapping it to attack from finished reporting, mapping it from raw data, storing and analyzing the data, and how do you make it actionable? Which that last one is probably the most important. I mean, what good is it if you map everything if you're not
Mm.
going to do anything with it?
For sure. Yeah, I think for me, when I looked at that course, this is that would be the most valuable piece, without a doubt. And I think the flow of that's really good. Like, okay, let's explain to people what MITRE is. Let's figure out how to map from reports. Let's figure out how to map from raw
Mhm.
data. But then let's actually figure out how to make it actionable.
What do I
Right?
do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do I do? How do I use this as a defender? How do I apply this to my tools, my processes, everything that I have in place in my security stack, and actually gain value from MITRE? So that one's free. It's short too. Like, would you say like
Mhm.
5 hours total for everything?
Yeah,
Like, you know, take a day, go through that, and I think you'll walk away a better defender, um, learning that information.
yeah. I would fully agree.
All right. The next one is one of my favorite resources that I still use very regularly,
Yep.
but it's the ultimate list of SANS cheat sheets. And if you guys aren't familiar with these cheat sheets, they are phenomenal. I've actually got some of the full size posters that I don't keep hung up because my whole wall would be covered. But you can get them in print too, and they're these big, 3 foot by 3 foot posters, and they cover a wide range of topics, everything from like general security through digital forensics, incident response, through offensive services, cloud security, you name it, they've got a cheat sheet for it. And then you get around, like within those domains, there's a lot of really specialized cheat sheets. They have an Nmap cheat sheet
Yeah.
that's really good. They got, Bloodhound, a Burp Suite cheat sheet, like we talked about. The Windows forensics cheat sheet is fantastic.
I
Malware
couldn't.
analysis and reverse engineering. There's so many good cheat sheets there.
Yeah, I mean, I know our IR guys, as much as they do it, and as much as you and I have done that stuff, and even not just work related, but CTFs or whatever, I couldn't have survived without some of those because you can't memorize
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. There's just
Yeah.
so much to it, and just having it like, oh crap, how do I do this? Boom,
Mm-hmm.
ready, here it is. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And it would be stuff like, all right, which registry key holds that information? I know the cheat sheet's going to have it. And it's things you may
Right.
know, but like Brad said, you don't actually memorize the full path of that registry key. Sure, you could Google and find that. But if you have a sheet that you know and you trust that has valid and accurate information, it's going to save you a lot. It's also a really good training tool, right? Because if you are trying to learn Windows-focused forensics and you have that cheat sheet from SANS, just getting that cheat sheet and studying everything in it is going to give you a wealth of information. The same would go for any of those tool cheat sheets. They've got one for volatility, which is, a memory analysis tool that we use to forensicate. And that is a really good resource when I have new folks that are trying to learn volatility. First thing I do is give them that cheat sheet and say, here's a cheat sheet, find yourself a memory dump and just get familiar with each of these commands, the output of these commands, and think about how this is going to be relevant as you forensicate, a live memory image and get them some coaching around that. So those are one of my favorite resources out there.
Yeah.
And when I say there's a lot of them, there's probably like 50-ish cheat sheets. And they're all high quality.
Yeah, they're amazing. I fully agree. Next one is Pico CTF by Carnegie Mellon. So they've got learning guides, and I actually did download and read through the first one, the general skills. I did kind of just poked at the other ones. I didn't have a lot of extra time, but the general skills one was, I thought, fantastic. Explaining how to figure out binary and convert it. What does it mean? Little Indian, big Indian. So just kind of the basics there, but well done in a manner that is understandable. I was like, oh man, I wish I'd known about this when I was first trying to figure out what does that mean again? It was really well put together because if you're not used to it, it's difficult. But they've got general skills, cryptography, web exploitation, forensics, binary exploitation, and reversing. And then looks like they have some practicing under the Pico Gym, where you can solve challenges from previous Pico CTF competitions. So you can read that stuff and then go try it out.
Yeah. Yeah, Pico was originally a CTF. It's still a CTF. They still have their CTF events. And it is backed now by Carnegie Mellon. So it's a pretty reputable source too. I think with all the interest in their CTFs that they ran, they decided to say, hey, let's take this and let's pivot this into a learning platform, an educational platform for people who are trying to get into information security. I would say this one is probably like a little more focused on offensive services or defensive services. I would say even Pico in general is going to be a little more focused on the offensive side, while they do have some forensics and reversing stuff in there. I think the bulk of that content is going to be best for offensive experts or people on that offensive path.
Yeah, it seems that tends to be the case. The defensive stuff is not as common. There's still a lot out there, but
yeah, and I think that's it is kind of a challenge to believe. It's more challenging to create good blue team simulations than it is to create good red team simulations, and so I think that we are starting to see more blue team ranges pop up. And so I think that will continue to evolve, see more resources there. But we've tried a couple of those resources, and I can say there's none that we've tried so far that I fully recommend. I don't want to throw mud at anybody today, but there are some issues with some of those platforms.
Yeah, it's just so difficult because you got to generate all the data as opposed to generating a compromisable system. Creating something that can be compromised is a lot easier than generating gigs of data.
Yeah, for sure. And there are a lot of platforms out there now that are helping that people are building to automate some of that. So we're talking modder before. There are some platforms that we're testing where you can build that modder framework in. You can create a cyber range, and then you can automate these attacks that utilize the modder pieces that you choose.
Oh, nice.
And so we're seeing that progress now and some improvements there. And so I think that'll eventually lead to more of that blue team simulation stuff. But either way, Pico, it's a pretty
Yeah,
awesome resource for folks to use, and all the training there, I believe, is free too. Right? There's no charge for
yeah,
any of that.
correct. Yeah, as far as I couldn't find it if it's
Yeah,
charged.
cool. The next one's one probably most of you have heard of, and it's Infosec Institute. Um, Infosec Institute. There is a paid version, right? It's like $300 a year per person. Um, but what a lot of people don't know, I think, is there are a lot of free courses as well on Infosec Institute that you don't have to be a member to be able to take today. I think they've got maybe over 100 courses that are free. And those courses range from, there's instant response courses, digital forensics, um, identity and access management. There's some OS focused classes, some leadership focused classes, architecture. Yeah, kind of all over the course, and we'll link this to you all so you have that. But it may be a good way to a see if you like those courses and you find value in the InfoSec Institute stuff. You may go take those courses and say, I don't like this format. This isn't good for me. And if you had to spend $300 to get that, we'd probably be pretty disappointed. But this is a way to go trial that and see if there's good educational material that fits your learning style. And if it is, maybe it helps you justify, okay, the $300 a year is not really that bad for quality training.
For the amount of training and
Yeah.
topics that they have, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and last one is very similar. Probably most people have heard of it. Cybrary. They've got some free stuff, or it's going to be $60 a month for access. I know I personally have used Cybrary in the past. I used it to prep for the CISSP, as a matter of fact, just because of the other resources weren't around way back in the day.
Yeah.
So I can vouch for it. It's got some good stuff. Again, try the free stuff for tree training, and if you like how it goes, I mean, maybe do some targeted training. $60 a month can add up, but if there's one or two classes that you can knock out in a month for $60, maybe that's worth it.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's very similar like InfoSec Institute, right? It's going to be a similar catalog. And again, like you mentioned, like you can try them both out for free. Go see which one fits your learning style best, because we all have different learning styles. And so it's a good way to be able to pilot those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a curveball, something I thought of that we didn't add to the agenda to throw in today, but I wanted to share it with our listeners because I think a lot of people may find this interesting, something they want to get on. But so if you're familiar with offensive security, the OSCP certification, they're currently doing the entire OSCP class for free. And that's available. We mentioned this on the HacktheBox last month, and it's about 4 weeks in, but it's going through November. So there's a lot of time left right now.
Oh, wow.
If you want to watch that, it's Mondays and Fridays at noon Eastern, so 11 Central. And it's streaming on the Offensive Security Twitch account. And all you have to do is log into your Twitch account, find the Offensive Security page on Twitch, follow that page, and tune in every Wednesday and Friday, and you'll get all the OSCP content for absolutely free. And so I think that's something that, folks should, if you're interested in going that offensive path, hey, like go sign up for Hack the Box, get yourself a free account, tune into these OSCP videos, start hacking boxes, and educate yourself.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful for everyone, and provides some value as we kind of give our 2 cents on these different learning platforms. So
yeah,
that I think we'll wrap it up. Oscar, any shout outs this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my folks, my mom and my dad. My mom's birthday was yesterday, and my dad's birthday is this Saturday. And awesome parents. Wouldn't be the man I am today without them. And so happy birthday, Mom and Dad. I don't think they ever listen to this, but maybe one day they will. And this will be a nice little prize when they do.
That's awesome. Thanks. You know, we've done so much hiring this year on the consulting side. I'm going to give a shout out to our, old timers, as it were, for getting these new people up and running so fast. The support, the high leads, Lori, Sean, Ryan, April, Megan, that they've given and set up. It's been amazing how fast it went from like when I started getting somebody ramped up to having all this stuff ready. So it's really stood out this year. I think that they've
Yeah.
sped things up.
I got to throw Megan and April in that list of names too, because all of them, they've worked so hard and
Oh my
building
god.
that program and then using their expertise to support our new folks. It's amazing. I was just talking to a new hire just before we started recording today, who joined us just last week, and she was just excited about how the training process is going great, how she already knows when she's going to have her first assessment scheduled. Like we're
Yeah.
looking that far out within a week. And you go back a couple years ago, we weren't streamlined that well yet. And
No.
we're great, man.
Yeah. It's awesome. They've done a ton of work, and shout out. It's paying off. You can see it pay off.
Yeah, for sure. It really is. That's a great shout out, man. Thanks to the team and everybody.
So with that, we'll wrap it up and talk to you guys next week.
Adios.